Gabriella's fingers trembled against the handle of her suitcase. The glass doors before her reflected nothing but wealth, power, and a world she didn't belong to. But she was here. She needed this job. The door opened before she could knock. A man in a sharp black suit gestured her inside. "Miss Carter? Mr. Jameson is expecting you." The penthouse stole her breath. Floor-to-ceiling windows framed the city skyline like a living painting. Marble gleamed under her feet. Crystal chandeliers caught the afternoon light and scattered it into 1,000 fragments. Then she saw him. Jackson Jameson stood near a grand piano, white shirt sleeves rolled to his elbows, dark hair perfectly styled. But it was his eyes that stopped her, piercing blue and impossibly intense, like they could strip away every secret she kept. "Gabriella Carter." His voice was smooth, commanding. "You're the chef." She straightened. "Yes, and you must be Mr. Jameson." "Jackson." His lips curved slightly. "Mr. Jameson makes me sound old." He moved toward her with deliberate steps, each one measured, controlled. "I don't let just anyone into my home." "Gabriella." He stopped close enough that she could smell his cologne, expensive and subtle. "I expect perfection, punctuality, and absolute discretion." She lifted her chin. "I can handle that." His gaze held hers for a beat too long. "You'll start tonight. Impress me." He turned and disappeared down the hall, leaving her standing alone, heart pounding against her ribs. That evening, she moved through the state-of-the-art kitchen with steady hands. Seared scallops with saffron butter, truffle risotto, grilled asparagus, bold, confident. When she placed the dish before him, Jackson studied it with the same intensity he'd studied her. He cut into the scallop, chewed slowly, silence. Then he leaned back. "Where did you train?" "Culinary Institute of America." "Then a year under Chef Laurent in Paris." His gaze sharpened. "Why leave?" Her jaw tightened. "Because I was tired of working for people who didn't appreciate talent." A ghost of a smile crossed his lips. "I appreciate talent, Gabriella." The way he said her name sent heat crawling up her spine. He took another bite. "This is excellent." Relief and pride surged through her. "Tomorrow," he continued, setting down his fork, "I have an important meeting. Breakfast ready by 6. Nodded. "Understood." As she turned to leave, his voice stopped her. "And Gabriella," she glanced back, "don't disappoint me." Over the next few days, she learned his rhythms. Jackson worked late into the night, taking calls in his private office. He barely spoke about himself, but she noticed the weight he carried, something deeper than business pressing down on his shoulders. One evening, she found him in her kitchen unexpectedly. "You don't usually come in here," she said. Wiping her hands on a towel, he leaned against the counter, arms crossed. "I was curious." "About what?" His eyes drifted to the simmering pot on the stove. "How someone makes food taste like that." She chuckled. "It's not magic, just skill. That's what people say about business, too." She tilted her head. "And do you believe that?" His expression darkened. "No, business is war. You win or you lose. That sounds exhausting." He exhaled, rubbing a hand over his jaw. It is for the first time she saw past the suit, past the wealth. She saw something raw, human, and that terrified her, because the more she saw of Jackson Jameson, the more she wanted to know. And wanting him was the most dangerous thing she could do. 3 weeks later, everything changed. "I have an event this evening," Jackson said over breakfast. "You'll prepare a menu for it?" She hesitated. "How many people?" His gaze lifted to hers. "Just 2. Something cold settled in her stomach. That evening, she worked tirelessly. Every detail perfect. Every flavor balanced. The elevator door opened. Footsteps echoed through the penthouse. Gabriella turned, and her breath caught. Striking blonde in a designer dress stood beside Jackson. Sharp eyes. Calculated smile. "This is Evelyn Carter," Jackson said, his voice unreadable. Gabriella froze. Carter. Her last name. Evelyn extended a manicured hand. We might be related. Or not. It's a common name. The handshake felt like ice. As they sat for dinner, Gabriella lingered near the kitchen. Unable to leave. You've been difficult to reach, Evelyn said lightly. Jackson sipped his wine. I've been busy. Too busy for old friends. His face remained unreadable. This isn't about friendship. Evelyn's lips curved. No, I suppose it's not. Silence stretched between them. Charged with something Gabriella couldn't name. You can't avoid it forever. Jackson, Evelyn said softly. Gabriella's grip tightened on the counter. Jackson exhaled slowly. I'm not avoiding anything. Evelyn studied him before her gaze drifted toward the kitchen. Toward Gabriella. She's quite talented, Evelyn remarked. Jackson didn't look away from his wine. She is. Something in his tone made Gabriella's pulse race. Evelyn's eyes lingered on her a moment longer. If you're so determined to stay out of this, then fine. But don't expect me to clean up the mess when it all crashes down. Jackson set his glass down with deliberate precision. I don't expect anything from you, Evelyn. When Evelyn finally left, the penthouse felt heavier. Jackson remained seated, fingers tapping against the table. His usual composure frayed at the edges. Gabriella hesitated. Who is she? Jackson's eyes lifted to hers, and the intensity behind them made her breath catch. Someone I used to trust, he said. Then he stood and walked away, leaving her alone with 1,000 unasked questions and the terrifying certainty that she'd just stepped into something far more dangerous than a job. Gabriella barely slept. Evelyn's words circled her mind like vultures. You can't avoid it forever. What was Jackson avoiding? And why did it feel like she'd become part of it simply by being here? The next morning, she moved through the kitchen mechanically, cracking eggs, whisking cream. Her hands steady even as her thoughts spiraled. Jackson appeared earlier than usual, still in yesterday's clothes. His shirt wrinkled. Dark circles shadowed his eyes. He'd been up all night. Night? She asked quietly, setting his coffee down. He didn't answer immediately. Just stared at the cup like it held answers. Do you have family, Gabriella? The question caught her off guard. No. My parents died when I was 16. Foster care after that. His jaw tightened. I'm sorry. Don't be. It made me who I am. She paused. What about you? I had a brother. His voice was flat, distant. Had the word hung between them, Jackson? What's going on? He finally looked at her, and for the first time she saw something close to fear in his eyes. Evelyn wasn't here for a friendly dinner. Exhaled slowly. She was warning me. My brother Daniel, he got involved in something he shouldn't have. Evelyn was his business partner. When things went south, he took the fall. Went to prison. Gabriella's stomach dropped. And you? I walked away clean. Left him there, his hands clenched into fists. Evelyn thinks I betrayed him. Maybe I did. Jackson, he died in prison 3 months ago. Jackson continued, voice breaking slightly. And now she wants me to finish what he started? Some deal that could either make us millions or destroy everything I've built. Gabriella moved closer without thinking. What are you going to do? I don't know. He looked at her. Really looked at her. But I need you to understand something. If you stay here, you're going to get caught in this. And I can't promise I can protect you. Her heart pounded. She should leave. Walk away. This was too much, but instead, she heard herself say, I'm not going anywhere. Something shifted in his expression. Relief, gratitude, and something else that made her chest tighten. Why? He asked quietly. Because, she said, voice barely above a whisper, you're not the only one who's tired of running. For a moment, neither of them moved. Then Jackson reached out, his fingers brushing against her cheek. Soft and hesitant. You shouldn't trust me. Gabriella? I know. He leaned closer, and she could feel his breath against her lips. The elevator chimed. They jerked apart. Heavy footsteps. Multiple people. Jackson's expression hardened instantly. Go to your room. Lock the door. "Don't come out until I tell you, Jackson. What now?" The command in his voice left no room for argument. She hurried down the hall, heart racing. From her room, she could hear muffled voices. Angry, demanding. "Where is it, Jameson?" A man's voice, rough and threatening. "I don't have it. Your brother said otherwise. My brother is dead." Crash. Glass shattering. Gabriella pressed her ear to the door, every instinct screaming at her to help, to do something. "You have 48 hours, the man said. "Find it, or we'll take everything you have. Starting with that pretty little chef of yours." Ice flooded Gabriella's veins. "I'll touch her and I'll kill you," Jackson said. Voice deadly calm. Laughter, cold and merciless. 48 hours, or footsteps. The elevator. Then silence. Gabriella waited, barely breathing. A soft knock on her door. "It's me," Jackson said. She opened it. His lip was split, blood trickling down his chin, a bruise forming along his jaw. Oh my God. She pulled him inside, grabbing a towel from her bathroom. He winced as she pressed it to his lip. "What did they want?" she asked. "Something my brother hid before he died. Money? Documents? I don't know." His hand covered hers, stopping her movements. "Gabriella, you need to leave. Tonight I'll arrange everything. A new identity if necessary. But you can't stay here. What about you?" "I'll handle it." "By getting yourself killed?" She pulled her hand away. "No, whatever this is, we figure it out together. This isn't your fight. You made it mine the moment you told me the truth," she said fiercely. "Now stop trying to protect me and let me help you." He stared at her, conflict warring across his face. Then slowly he nodded. "My brother had a storage unit. I have the key, but I never went. Couldn't bring myself to face whatever he left behind." "Then we go now," Gabriella said. 20 minutes later, they stood in front of a rusted storage unit on the edge of the city. Jackson's hands shook as he unlocked it. Inside, boxes, papers, and a laptop sitting on top of a sealed envelope. Jackson opened the envelope. A letter written in hurried handwriting. "Jackson, if you're reading this, I'm already gone. I'm sorry for everything. For getting involved? For dragging you down with me? But I need you to know the truth. Evelyn set me up. She needed someone to take the fall, and I was convenient. The money she's looking for? I never had it. She's been playing you from the start. The laptop has everything. Proof of what she's done. Use it. Finish this. I'm sorry I wasn't a better brother." Daniel Jackson's hands trembled as he lowered the letter. "Evelyn," he breathed. "It was her all along." Gabriella's mind raced. "The men who came today, they work for her." "Probably." Jackson's expression turned to stone. "She's been manipulating me. Using my guilt. Making me think I abandoned him when she was the one who he couldn't finish." Gabriella touched his arm. "We have the proof now. We can stop her." Jackson looked at her, something fierce and protective burning in his eyes. "This ends tomorrow," he said. But as they drove back to the penthouse, neither of them noticed the black car following 3 lengths behind, or the figure in the passenger seat, watching them with cold, calculating eyes. Evelyn Carter had always been 3 steps ahead, and she wasn't about to let them ruin everything now. Gabriella woke to silence, the kind that pressed against her eardrums and made her skin prickle with unease. She reached for her phone. 4:47 a.m. Something was wrong. She slipped out of bed, padding quietly down the dark hallway. The penthouse felt different, colder, like the air itself was holding its breath. Jackson's office door was slightly ajar, a sliver of light spilling out. She pushed it open, empty papers scattered across his desk. The laptop they'd recovered, still closed. But Jackson was gone. Her heart began to race. Then she saw it. A note scrawled quickly on his letterhead. Had to handle something. "Stay inside. Don't open the door for anyone. I'll explain everything when I get back. Trust me, JT Rustme." The words felt like a promise and a lie all at once. She checked her phone. No calls, no messages. Where would he go at this hour? A sound behind her made her spin. Evelyn stood in the doorway, immaculate as always, her smile sharp as a blade. Looking for Jackson? Gabriella's blood turned to ice. How did you get in here? I've always had a key. Evelyn stepped inside, closing the door behind her. He never changed the locks after Daniel died. Sentimental, really. Where is he? Evelyn tilted her head, studying Gabriella like she was something fascinating and pathetic. You really don't know, do you? Know what? That he went to meet my associates. Alone. Without the laptop. Evelyn's smile widened. He's going to trade himself for your safety. Isn't that romantic? The room spun. You're lying, am I? Evelyn pulled out her phone, turning the screen toward Gabriella. A video. Jackson, hands zip-tied behind his back, kneeling in what looked like an abandoned warehouse. Blood on his temple. Two men flanking him. Gabriella's knees nearly buckled. Thinks he's saving you, Evelyn continued, pocketing her phone. But all he's doing is making this easier for me. Once I have him out of the way, I take the laptop, destroy the evidence. And everything your precious Jackson built becomes mine. Why are you telling me this? Evelyn's expression turned cold. Because I want you to understand something, Gabriella. Jackson Jameson destroys everyone he touches. His brother rotted in prison because of him. And now you're just the latest casualty. He didn't betray his brother. You did? Did I? Evelyn laughed softly. Is that what the letter said? How convenient. Daniel always was good at rewriting history. Gabriella's mind raced. You wrote it. The letter wasn't from Daniel at all. Evelyn's smile confirmed everything. You played us both, Gabriella whispered. And you made it so easy. Evelyn moved toward the desk, reaching for the laptop. Now, I'll take what's mine. Gabriella's hand shot out, grabbing the laptop first. Give it to me, Evelyn said, voice deadly calm. No. You have no idea what you're dealing with. Maybe not, Gabriella said, backing toward the door. But I know Jackson's worth more than whatever's on this laptop. Evelyn's expression hardened. You stupid girl. You think this is some fairy tale? He's using you, just like he used everyone else. Then why are you so desperate to destroy him? For the first time, something flickered in Evelyn's eyes. Hurt. Anger. Something raw. 'Cause he was supposed to choose me, Evelyn said quietly. Before Daniel. Before the business. Before everything fell apart, it was supposed to be us. Duh. Understanding crashed over Gabriella. You loved him. Love. Evelyn spat the word like poison. Love is what made me weak. What made me trust him when he said we'd build something together. And then he chose his brother instead. Chose loyalty over me. So yes, I set Daniel up. I made sure Jackson would lose everything that mattered. And now I'm going to finish it. She pulled a gun from her coat. Gabriella's heart stopped. Put down the laptop, Gabriella. You're not part of this. If I'm not part of this, then let me go. I can't do that. You've seen too much. You know too much? Evelyn's hand steadied on the gun. I'm sorry. I actually liked you. Gabriella's mind worked frantically. The laptop. The video, Jackson? She had one chance. If you kill me, you'll never find the backup. Evelyn's eyes narrowed. What backup? You think Jackson was stupid enough to keep everything on one laptop? He uploaded copies. Cloud storage. Multiple servers. Gabriella was improvising, praying it sounded believable. You kill me, and you'll never know where they are. But let me go, and I'll tell you. Evelyn studied her for a long moment. Then she lowered the gun slightly. Where? Let Jackson go first. Not how this works. Then I guess you'll have to kill me and hope you can outrun the evidence. Silence stretched between them, taut as a wire. Finally, Evelyn's phone buzzed. She glanced at it, and her expression shifted. It seems your boyfriend just did something incredibly stupid. She turned the phone toward Gabriella again. A new message. A location pin. And a single line of text from Jackson. I have what you want. Let her go, and I'll give you everything. Gabriella's throat tightened. Evelyn smiled coldly. He's going to get himself killed for you. How does that feel? Tell me where he is. Why would I do that? Because I'm the only one who can save him, Gabriella said, voice steady, despite the terror coursing through her. And you need me alive to do it. Evelyn considered this. Then, slowly, she holstered her gun. Fine, but if you try anything, I'll put a bullet in him first. Understood? Gabriella nodded. 20 minutes later, they arrived at the warehouse. Gabriella clutched the laptop like a lifeline. Inside, Jackson looked up, and the relief in his eyes nearly broke her. Gabriella, what are you doing here? Saving you, apparently. Evelyn's men shoved her forward, and she stumbled into Jackson's side. His hands were still bound, but he angled himself protectively in front of her. Let her go, Evelyn, he said. This is between us. Oh, Jackson. Evelyn stepped closer, gun now trained on them both. It stopped being just between us the moment you let her into your life. Please. Begging doesn't suit you. Evelyn gestured to one of her men. Get the laptop, as the man approached. Gabriella made her decision. She threw the laptop toward Evelyn. And in the chaos of everyone lunging for it, she grabbed the knife from the nearest man's belt and cut Jackson's restraints. Everything exploded into motion, gunshots, shouting. Jackson pulling her behind a concrete pillar as bullets ricocheted around them. We have to go, he shouted over the noise. They ran, bursting through a side door into the cold pre-dawn air. Behind them, Evelyn's scream of rage echoed through the warehouse. They didn't stop running until they reached Jackson's car. 3 blocks away, once inside, they sat in silence. Breathing hard, you came for me, Jackson finally said. Of course I did. And there was something in his eyes she'd never seen before. Vulnerability, fear, love. Gabriella. Her phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. A photo of the penthouse, engulfed in flames. And below it, a single line from Evelyn. You took everything from me. Now I'll take everything from you. The penthouse burned like a funeral pyre against the dawn sky. Smoke billowed from shattered windows, flames licking at the remains of everything Jackson had built. Gabriella stared at the image on her phone. Numb, she's going to kill us, she whispered. Jackson's jaw clenched. No, she's not, he started the car, tires screeching as they pulled away from the curb. Where are we going? Somewhere safe. I have a place she doesn't know about. They drove in silence through empty streets, the city slowly waking around them. Gabriella's mind couldn't stop replaying everything. The gun, the warehouse, the flames. Jackson, the laptop. We gave it to her. Da. The laptop was empty, he said quietly. She turned to him. What? I wiped it last night. Before I left. Everything Evelyn wanted, every piece of evidence Daniel left. I uploaded it to a secure server and sent copies to the FBI, the SEC, and 3 major news outlets. His hands tightened on the wheel. It's set to release in 12 hours unless I stop it. You used yourself as bait. I had to. She would have come after you otherwise. And the note you left me? Trust me. Anger flared in her chest. You're going to sacrifice yourself without even telling me. Yes. He didn't apologize. Didn't look away from the road. Because losing you would destroy me more than anything Evelyn could do. The raw honesty in his voice stole her breath. You don't get to make that choice for me, she said quietly. I know. Finally. He glanced at her. I'm sorry. They pulled into an underground garage beneath a nondescript building. Jackson led her up a back stairwell to a small apartment, sparsely furnished but clean. Safe. Once inside, the adrenaline crashed. Gabriella's legs gave out, and Jackson caught her, lowering them both to the floor. She pressed her face against his chest. And for the first time since this nightmare began, she let herself break. He held her, one hand cradling the back of her head, the other wrapped around her waist. I've got you, he murmured. I've got you, when her breathing steadied. She pulled back enough to look at him. His face was bruised, exhausted, beautiful. Jackson. When this is over, he interrupted gently. I want to take you somewhere far away. Somewhere she can't reach us. And I want to start over. No lies. No secrets. What if there is no over? She touched the bruise on his jaw. What if she finds us first? Then we fight. His hand covered hers. Together, the word settled between them like a promise. He leaned in slowly, giving her time to pull away. She didn't. When his lips met hers, it wasn't gentle. It was desperate, fierce, full of everything they'd been holding back. Her fingers tangled in his hair, and he pulled her closer, like he could fuse them together through sheer will. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Jackson rested his forehead against hers. "I love you," he said. "I know I have no right to, but I do." Tears burned behind her eyes. Jackson, his phone rang. Evelyn's name flashed on the screen. He answered, putting it on speaker. "Hello, Jackson." Her voice was eerily calm. "I assume you've seen your handiwork by now." "It's over, Evelyn. The evidence is already out there." "Oh, I know. Your little insurance policy. Very clever." She paused. "But here's the thing. I don't actually care anymore. About the money? About the proof? About any of it? Then what do you want? I want you to suffer the way I suffered. I want you to lose everything. The way you made me lose everything. I never meant to hurt you, but you did. And now it's my turn." The line went dead. Jackson stared at the phone, dread settling over his features. "She's not going to stop," Gabriella said. "Even if we expose her. Even if she goes to prison. She'll find a way. I know. So what do we do?" Jackson was quiet for a long moment. Then he stood, moving to the window, looking out at the city beyond. "There's one thing she wants more than revenge," he said slowly. "What?" He turned to face her. Gabriella's blood ran cold. "No. If I turn myself in, if I go to the police and tell them everything, the story becomes about me, not her. And you get to walk away clean?" "Absolutely not." "Gabriella." "No." She stood, moving to him. "You're not doing this. We expose her together. We testify together. We survive this together. She'll come after you. Let her." Gabriella's voice was steel. "I'm not losing you. Not after everything." Jackson cupped her face in his hands. "You're the bravest person I've ever met.
Us.
Then trust me to fight beside you."
Us.
He kissed her again, softer this time. A goodbye to the fear, a promise of what came next. When his phone buzzed again, they both tensed. But it wasn't Evelyn. It was a news alert, breaking. Prominent businesswoman Evelyn Carter arrested in connection with fraud, conspiracy, and arson. Evidence suggests involvement in death of Daniel Jameson. Gabriella's hands shook as she read the headline. "How?" She breathed. Jackson pulled up another message. "From an unknown number, your brother was my friend. I made sure his evidence got to the right people. He wanted you to know he forgave you. And he loved you. From someone who owed Daniel a debt." Tears streaked down Jackson's face. "It's over," Gabriella whispered. But even as relief flooded through her, Jackson's expression remained troubled. "What is it?" "The evidence Daniel left. It didn't just implicate Evelyn." He met her eyes. "It implicated me too. I knew what my brother was doing. I should have stopped him. Instead, I looked the other way. Jackson, I have to turn myself in. Gabriella, I have to face what I did." Her heart cracked. "For how long?" "I don't know. My lawyer thinks maybe 2 years with a plea deal." 2 years, it felt like a lifetime. "Then we'll wait," she said firmly. "I'll be here when you get out. You'd do that?" "Yes." She took his hands. "Because you're worth waiting for." He pulled her into his arms, holding her like she was the only solid thing in his world. "I don't deserve you. Good thing love isn't about deserving." Outside, sirens wailed. The world kept turning. But in that moment, in that small apartment with everything they'd built burning behind them, they had each other. And sometimes, that was enough. 20-6 months later, Gabriella stood outside the prison gates, heart hammering against her ribs. The morning sun cast long shadows across the concrete, and the air smelled like rain that hadn't yet fallen. She'd been here every visiting day for 2 years. Watched him change behind the glass. watched the weight of guilt carve lines into his face, then slowly watched hope soften them again. Today was different. Today, he was coming home. The gate opened, and there he was. Jackson Jameson walked out in simple jeans and a white t-shirt, carrying nothing but a small bag. He looked thinner, older, but his eyes, those piercing blue eyes, found hers immediately. Neither of them moved for a heartbeat. Then she was running, and he was catching her, lifting her off the ground as she wrapped her arms around his neck. "You're here," he breathed into her hair. "You're really here. I told you I would be." He set her down, cupping her face in his hands like she was something precious and fragile. "I don't know what I did to deserve you." "You loved me," she said simply, "even when it cost you everything." He kissed her then, soft and achingly tender, and for a moment the world fell away. When they pulled apart, she took his hand. "Come on. I have something to show you." They drove through the city, past the empty lot where the penthouse once stood, past the warehouse where they'd nearly died, ghosts of a life that no longer existed. Finally, she pulled up in front of a small restaurant. Warm light spilled from the windows. A sign above the door read Carter's Kitchen in elegant script. Jackson stared. "Gabriella, would I use the settlement money from the lawsuit against Evelyn?" she explained. "Started small. Built it from nothing. It's ours. If you want it," his throat worked. "You named it after yourself." "After us," she corrected. "Carter, Jameson. Either way, it fits." He turned to her, eyes bright with emotion. "You built this. While I was gone, I had to do something with all that time." She tried for lightness, but her voice cracked. "And I wanted to give you something to come back to." "Something good?" Jackson pulled her close, pressing his lips to her forehead. "You gave me everything." Inside, the restaurant was modest but beautiful. Exposed brick, soft lighting, an open kitchen where she could create. "I've been working alone mostly," she said as they walked through, "but I was hoping you might want to help. Nothing too demanding. Just whatever feels right, Gabriella." Oh. He stopped, taking both her hands. "I don't know the first thing about running a restaurant." "Good thing I do," she smiled. "Besides, you're excellent at managing people, at building things. We could be partners. Real partners this time." "Partners," he repeated softly. "Unless you have other plans." He shook his head slowly. "No other plans. Just you, this, whatever comes next." They spent the afternoon preparing the restaurant for the evening service. Jackson moved through the space carefully, learning the rhythms, asking questions. Slowly, the tension in his shoulders eased. When the first customers arrived, Gabriella watched from the kitchen as Jackson greeted them, reserved but genuine. He was different now, softer. The armor he'd worn for so long finally set aside. Later, after closing, they sat together in the empty dining room, sharing a bottle of wine. "I saw Evelyn's lawyer reached out," Gabriella said quietly. Jackson's expression darkened slightly. "She wants to meet from prison. Said she has something to tell me. Will you go?" He considered this. "Maybe, someday, but not yet." He reached across the table, lacing his fingers with hers. "I spent too long looking backward, at what I lost, at what I should have done differently. I don't want to do that anymore. What do you want?" His thumb traced circles on the back of her hand. "This, you a life where I wake up every morning and get to choose to be better? That sounds perfect." They sat in comfortable silence, the weight of everything they'd survived settling around them like a blanket. Gabriella Jackson said eventually, "I need to ask you something, okay?" He stood, moving to kneel beside her chair. Her heart stopped. "I don't have a ring. I don't have anything to offer you except a criminal record, a burned reputation, and more baggage than anyone should have to carry." His voice was rough with emotion. "But I love you, and I want to spend the rest of my life proving that I'm worthy of the faith you had in me." Tears spilled down her cheeks. "Marry me," he said. "Not now. Not until we're ready. But someday." when we've built something neither of us can destroy. Marry me, and let me spend forever making you happy." She slid off the chair, kneeling with him, their hands clasped between them. "Yes," she whispered. "Yes, to all of it." He kissed her then, deep and full of promise, and she felt the last piece of her fractured heart slot back into place. Outside, rain finally began to fall, washing the city clean, and inside Carter's kitchen, two broken people held each other and dared to believe in new beginnings. 3 years later, on a quiet Sunday morning, Gabriella Jameson stood in her kitchen, sunlight streaming through the windows. Jackson wrapped his arms around her waist from behind, resting his chin on her shoulder. "What are you making?" he asked. "Your favorite?" "Seared scallops with saffron butter." He smiled against her neck. "You made that for me the first night you worked for me." "I know." She turned in his arms. "I wanted to impress you. You did more than that." He kissed her softly. "You saved me. We saved each other." Their restaurant had flourished. Their life, once shattered, had been pieced back together into something more beautiful than before. The scars remained, of course, but they were reminders of what they'd survived, what they'd chosen. Love over fear. Truth over silence. Each other over everything. Jackson pulled back slightly, studying her face. "Are you happy?" She didn't hesitate. "Yes. Are you?" More than I ever thought possible. And in that moment, standing in the kitchen of the life they'd built together, Gabriella knew with absolute certainty that some stories don't end in tragedy. Sometimes, against all odds, they end in light. The end.